Hello there, this is Cookies, and I've got turn 50. Now, if I had just looked through this, and I don't think anything truly interesting happens in this turn. There's a little bit of trading around. I continue foraging, continue doing blood micro, and continue site searching. We do have some events. So I get some water gems, I patrol some stuff out, I have a scout patrolled out. I think all of the battles, these are Frostbrand thugs. We have a large Micklin army, we can take a look at that. Hinnom kills some of his own stuff. I suppose we can take a look at these armies. All right, so we've got the Micklin army, where we've got a tremendous number of mages. Thistle Maze, Crown of Command on this one. This one's got some astral and some nature. The communion size is going to be 8 communion slaves. We've got a couple of fire mages here, and his disciple with a lot of earth gems, and even a commander here with a scepter of authority. Pretty cool. And a tremendous amount of stuff. These jaguars are sacred, stealthy, have 2 fairly high attacks with decent damage. Mostly just missing the protection, which I'm assuming the disciple fixes, probably with a battlefield wide. Dark Vines are cool because they have armor piercing attacks. So 10 attack, they have 3 of them. 10 attack skill, 3 attacks, 14 damage, but it's armor piercing, so it can do a fair amount of damage. Got a few beast bats here. We have a bunch of ocelotls here. Ocelotls are famously very killy. High attack, 3 attacks, and high damage. Then a tremendous number of jaguar warriors, who are interesting because they turn into were-jaguars when they die, so they have 2 forms. Although it's kind of interesting that they don't get the shapeshifter tag. Alright. And at least in turn, yeah, so we've taken a look at that army. We can take a look at the Hinnom army as well. So we've got skeletons, a core of Dawn Guard, Draconians in the back, a few chariots. In terms of the army, we have a thugged out Melkart with a Wraith Sword, Chassis of the Mountain. So he can do a big earth spell, buff himself up, and then go in. We've got another Melkart just with an Armor of Knights. They do come with their own Dawn Blade. So they've got something going for them. A couple of champion skulls on these Melkarts. This one has a greenstone armor. This one's got a chainmail of displacement. Got a couple of GSS ones holding bags of wine. But yeah, so we've got 6, 7, 8 Melkarts. Additionally, we've got some Kohen, a few Baals. They've got elemental apprentices. We have a couple of Earthboot Amis for bigger earth buffs, and a number of Akka, a couple of them with Thistle Maces for Nature 4 magic, and a couple of them with just some nature gems. Okay. And then Kael'thasa, this thug jumps in. We saw this army last turn. This thug jumps in and ends up getting killed by Drain Life from the high death mages in the army. But I'll go ahead and show you the buff script. Alright, so it's got an Implementer Axe, Dragon Helmet, Black Steel, Full Plate, Flask of Holy Water, because it's not a priest. So this allows it to be blessed. Then a Bag of Winds. Here's our Bless again, so a bunch of Resists, Undying, Enchanted Blood, and Righteous Wrath. Very classic Starbucks Bless. That's why all of our pretenders are named after Starbucks drinks. And then somewhat low attack skill, but pretty high damage. Implementer Axe also has a big fear aura and is armor piercing. I think I already said that, but yeah. But it is going to gem burn the Sitis army, so they put up Darkness and Rigor Mortis. But we do end up losing the Thug. Against Falgoth, these devils don't have any undead leadership, so they HP route the army, so this Thug succeeds. And then that army just runs into some PD, and then we've got a couple of shamans doing a little Skelly spam. Originally I thought they would do some point buffing, but they end up doing Skelly spam. Alright. So for this particular turn, we've got our army is finally on the move. So this army is most of our... We've added some mage support to it because that's more fun. But this army is on a little bit of a suicide mission. So this bless isn't the best, and my burning ones are not the point of this particular team setup that we're doing. So I'm looking to remove the 150 upkeep from them, the upkeep from the Kaoni, and the upkeep from the Abyssian infantry. So the goal is to get this group moving out and get them fighting, and if they end up getting killed, then we can use that upkeep probably for putting up more temples, is what I'm thinking. So this army's moving out. This lady is here because we're going to get this wasteland from Kaelasa, probably ford it up. Or at least attempt to, if it doesn't get raided. And then Hinnom is looking to take on this large Zabalba stack, and maybe even the Ur stack. So there's two enemy armies here. Kaelasa is playing support, so guarding retreat routes, and then also has left this Makon fort under siege. Now, Makon and Sitis have been pulling stuff back slowly, and that's in response to this large Miklin attack here. And it looks like a fairly large amount of raids. I forget which of this was already under Baratos' control, but I doubt this lake was part of it. So I think they're coming back to try and respond. And then we can see Vanheim squaring off against Marverni here, but this isn't a very threatening Marverni army. So yeah, I think that's it for this turn. So we see big armies moving around, but no large combats just yet. Let's go ahead and skip to turn 51. Okay, so I've got turn 51 pulled up. We're doing more of the same, but we've got some combat now. I believe we have a big fight this turn. So we see this Ring of the Warrior Muspel Jarl. 23 attack with that Ring of the Warrior. Rating just a little bit of PD. Now, if I remember right, this was in response to a very... Yeah, so we see TNN raiding deep into Makon lands, way out here. So this is in response to that. So they went past our armies and raided Makon. So that's Muspelheim retaking one, and then we've got Zabalba and Hinnom. So we've got some Demon Locusts raiding some of our PD here. Demon Locusts are interesting because they have the Heretic tag. So they will very quickly remove enemy dominion from a province, or your own, depending on what you want to do with the Heretic tag. And they've also got a Stinger with a Death Poison. They're very expensive. I believe this is something like 88 blood slaves. And it's also an indicator of very high blood magic. Next up, so I think that was to secure the Wasteland retreat route. So he's trying to cut off the Hinnom army in preparation for a big battle, but this is not it. This is a group of reinforcements Hinnom's moving in. They're starving because I was eating all the food under his troops, so I don't think they're going to do well. Well, maybe they'll do better than I thought. So they do have some magic weapons. These guys have 19 protection. It's a lot of protection, but these flails... Yeah, I think it's just volume of attacks, and they're getting lucky. Now, the Dawn Guard hits will definitely go through protection, and at 15 attack against 8 defense, because the flagellants are harassing down the demon locust. So, despite their morale penalties, they're actually holding up remarkably well here. Okay. So Hinnom actually retakes, takes Ligria. Oh, wait. Retakes Witch's Copse. There we go. So loses 14 of the flagellants. Then we have Baral. We have a very basic Sarmatian raiding party. I think almost too much for a general raid. So we've got a number of cataphracts. We have some Oreopata with some awakened tattoos. This lady's got a smasher. A bear claw talisman for a little bit of stat buffs. So hits for 35. Also at fairly low fatigue, but I don't think there's enough here to bless these Oreopata. Okay. But maybe they don't really feel the need to bless. I forgot it. I think I might want to watch this again and just see. Yeah, so we see the invulnerability 10 and enlarged from awakened tattoos. Yeah, so it doesn't even bother to bless. Alright, and then we've got Kaelasa going after Sitis. So a little bit more raiding now that their army seems to be moving away. So this Yakshini thug is moving in, clearing out 1 PD. Oh, and then I think did I skip a fight? Here we go. So Hinnom goes after and goes and hits this stack. So we've got a large number of Enkidu archers who are pretty fearsome with their longbows that hit for 16. They have a scary front line with Misushu that have fear. And with their bless, they are ethereal Misushu. Now against Hinnom, that's not always great. They have a lot of magic weapons, especially with their Dawn Guard. But it works pretty well on the Long Dead. And then we have a number of Urguard. And all of this is deployed in a double line. For Ur's magic, we have a large number of nature gems, a few Sword of Swiftness army thugs, an Axe of Hate, an Eye Shield, and some earth and air gems. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the battle. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Hinnom ends up losing 6 chariots, 3 Dawnguard, most of his Draconians, uh, a fair number of Long Dead, and 15 out of his 99 remaining Sayer. The Sayer did a majority of the killing. The Long Dead Rephites also did very well. The Draconians actually held their own, getting about even, and caused a tremendous amount of disruption in the back line. And we just about wiped this Enkidu army. We killed all but 2 of the Shib in terms of the mages, and the primary number of survivors were mostly Enkidu archers. So that went very well for us. Let's see, I think we already saw this. This is for She-Lord thugs going after Muspelheim. I think they've all got Frostbarons. 2, well, this one's a little bit heavier kit. So one had no kit. This one's got a light LOP, Vine Shield, and Frostbrand. 2 of them have just Frostbrands. So doing a little bit of raiding. Kaelasa goes after Sitis. This Yakshini thug is back against 1 PD. And Micklin storms the Macone fort here. Or pings it, I guess, with a mage. Okay. Must not have had any scouts on hand. And sees that there's nothing really inside. Our scout gets assassinated. More disease and misfortune. Some villains attack. And yeah, I think that's it for the battles. In terms of movements on the strategic map, we can see Sarmatia, freeing up this throne, but Ulm putting this Ubar fort under siege. We can see the pressure from Micklin on Macone's fort. We can see the Sitis and Macone armies continuing to pull back. A Muspel raid down here, though, near the border with Baratos, so they're still trying to keep some of this land around this throne here in the center. And then we can see that there's I didn't negotiate anything. I thought about negotiating it, but I wanted to give Kaelasa freedom of action. So this border is becoming significantly more peaceful. There's just some light raiding in here. And Kaelasa moved this army in to support the Hinnom army. We can see the Zabalba stack dodged, but it might commit now to try and save this fort since this fort is cracked. And then we can see here that there is a Kaelasa army guaranteeing a retreat route. The TNN army isn't in position to contest this retreat route, although this small stack is. And then I've got my army in here contesting this wasteland. So TNN won't get a free play here anymore. And yeah, I think that's it for this one. So we had a really big victory by Hinnom over but potentially an even bigger showdown next turn. So let's go ahead and jump into that one. Okay, so it's turn 52. We can see that there's worldwide darkness in the background. We do more site searching. Again, we really only find mostly a few astral gems. There's no special sites that we're finding, but we're certainly looking for them. And then, although there is a jungle temple that I find under one of my forts that lets me get I think like 1 to 3 Lamias a turn. It's not a very big deal, but it's cool. Alright, so we have a fair number of battles here. We have Lanka going after Sitis in the Summerlands. Looks like they're pinging it and there's nothing there. Hinnom raiding Kailasa. These She-Lord thugs continuing to cause havoc. Alright. And then we've got Kailasa going after Sitis here. Two thugs here. They're in the same square, so they're going to try to share point buffs. At least onto this one. This one's pretty cool because it's got a snake bladder stick and some poison resist. The Yakshini has a little bit of poison resist, and I think gets some more once it gets blessed. But we'll see if he's scripted bless. Okay, so we do have blessing come out. Did we not take PR? Oh, we did. Oh, I guess PR is just always there. Okay. Because of the nature of our bless, because we did strong blood, and that's always active. Now, this guy does create a pretty big poison aura. It can affect the Yakshini here, but she does have a little bit of poison resist. Might be nice to add elemental fortitude to her script. Alright, and then Traveler's Rest. Kalos is going pinging McCone. Alright, but there's no army there. And then we see Zabalba move into Ligria. Alright, so Zabalba takes the bait for the fight. And I guess by moving back a turn and now coming in, the TNN team got to guarantee the order of the fights. We do have a couple of shaman that moved in. They're not in the mage ball though, so I think they're in danger from all the Ozolotl. And we've seen this Zabalba stack before in a previous episode. We've seen the Hinnom stack, so I think I'm just going to get to the combat. But I will scroll through this actually really quick, just so you guys can take a look. Oh, it looks like this guy showed up as well. So he's got a Bloodthorn, the Nature Blood Booster, a Crown of the Titan, so size 7, a Nonkwi, or Oniki. I guess there's no extra N. A bunch of Nature Gems. And he's going to add in some Nature buffs. All right, let's take a look at the buffs really quick. Sorry. Now that we're actually seeing them come out. So I believe we saw Bloodlust. And, okay, so no anti-magic. We see their Blessing come online, which is for Ethereal. Let's go ahead and take a look at these two Oniki. Sabbath Master, Mass Regen. Okay, so not Army Regen. So only a few will have Regen. This one does Divine Blessing and Steel Slice Warriors. And then over here for the Hinnom army, we've got some rusty equipment, but I believe we've got Army Regen. Yep. So the slightly better tech. This guy is throwing up anti-magic. For the Sayer, I believe we have Bloodlust. Although this one's also weakened. It looks like maybe Barkskin got put up. Let's see, we've got Anti-Magic about to go up, Bloodlust, and a few other things. Okay, anyways, I'll let you guys see it. Looks like we've got an army route. Oh, he's fatigued out. Two Steel Slice Warriors and the Sabbath Master put him out. What did the other guy cast? Mass Region, Hell, Mass Region. Okay. Okay, it looks like they also had Life After Death put up. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the magic that got cast. That was Army Region, Serpent's Blessing. We had a couple of Swarm casters. Some Blood Poisoning, Breath of the Dragon. How'd this guy do? Affected by Fright. Yeah, so I believe Blood Rain got patched. I forget when that patch rolled out. There might be some replay bug here. I forget, but I don't think we've been seeing any going through turns recently. But Blood Rain wasn't. It was only affecting enemies for a while, whereas in its description it says it affects both sides. I believe in a recent patch it got fixed to affect both sides. So I think these fear effects, they could have been something like null cards, but it also could have been them fearing themselves with their own Blood Rain. And we can see that most of the Mage Corps retreated. What did you cast? You did some Fire Elementals. Okay. And then we've got some dead mages down here. So these are the Sabbath slaves. Wonder who did Life After Death. Surely it was the other Oniki then, right? Sabbath Master. Is it one of these other mages? Hmm. Interesting. I don't know, maybe I'm missing it, and maybe somebody else spotted it and they can point it out. But the end result of this was just an absolute bloodbath. So we killed 247 of the Aussies, or Hinnom kills, and also 33 Sun Guides. Takes out a fair number of mages, so 7 mages. And some of those could have died in the retreat as well. And then we lost 2 of our Kohens, so his communion potential is a little busted right now after losing those Kohen. A couple of Akka, a couple of Shamans. The Long Dead get absolutely wrecked. Here, yeah. They did not perform as well in this battle because they were facing significantly tougher opponents. But the Sayer actually did incredible. We lose 47 Sayer, killed 203 enemies. I think a lot of them were quality enemies, like these Ocelotls. And then the Melkarts picked up 49 kills with no casualties. So this went... We won, but this army did get gutted of its numbers quite a bit, so it'll have to take a few turns to reconstitute. And then in Zimria, we have a large raid of these spirits, I guess, along with an ancient casket with some death gems. Let's paralyze. Yeah, I don't know how they kill anything. I guess eventually I guess they do a minimal amount of damage, maybe 1 damage. Okay. But then Roos also walked into this, and he's got a little bit of an army. Additionally, has this Holy 3 Alchemist. So should be able to take care of these spirits, no issues, especially with the Son of Fenrir here. Okay, so it does end up picking that one up. Loses 20 chewed berserkers. And that must all be the friendly fire. I'm not sure. How do you lose these guys? I don't know. Must have been some friendly fire. I didn't see anything obvious, though. Could also be a replay bug. Alright, Gul Amrod. We've got Sitis attacking Tianan. Fairly large Sitis force, but doesn't find anything. We've seen that army before. It's got the high death casters that drain life to our Kaelasa thug. In Gladewood, Kaelasa goes to retake from some independence, has a number of Bandar swordsmen here going up against some villains. Okay. Loses 6, but he's probably fine with that. Then we've got Ubar going after Ulm. So I think we've seen this little force before, but oh, it runs into an Ulmish army. So we have a bunch of Sylphs. Sylphs aren't necessarily great against Ubar because they normally have a fair amount of shock resistance, although less normally than their fire resistance. It's brought a lot of archers, a lot of steel maidens in 2 different squads, or 2 different main squads. He's got a few mages. So we've got this Antlered Shaman. Nature 4 is horror marked. Then we've got 2 Afreed Sultans. We've seen this one before with the Ring of Regen. This one's got a Smasher. It's been chasing the Golem around. Okay. Then we have a couple of Shamans with Skull Staffs and another Shaman with a Bloodstone. Ooh, and a Warrior Smith with a Robe of the Sea and Water Bracelet. So Water 4. And a Windmaster, which is leading the Sylphs and has a Crown of Command. So let's go ahead and see these Ubar troops jump in. Oh, lost him a bit. Okay. Where are they? So we've got Jen in the back here. And... oh, and these guys are getting distracted by Hal. Okay. You can see the shock res is at 5, fire resist 25. That was a Shaitan that just got blade winded. There's another one that's probably close. This guy got, I think, stunned? I don't know. He definitely turned a different color. I think he's petrified. All right. So that was a significant win for Ulm. What's that? It was here in Dryfields. So it does take a lot of attrition, but these are all, it's either mercs or scales troops. Eminently replaceable. He manages to kill an Ifrit Sultan, and I think there might have been a little bit of a replay bug there. I think we saw both of them die, but only one died. Kills the Kaheen. Lion Tribe Witch Doctor kills 5 Shaitan, 9 Tubba, and 18 Guardians, 3 Ifrit Warriors. All in all, inflicts a large amount of attrition. So the Shaitan are 2 points, and I believe cap only. So this is 5 turns of cap recruitment. This guy is, well, no, because I think they get a Citadel. So we've got 6 rec points, so 16 rec points. If it's 3 per turn, we're talking 5 turns of cap recruitment. So a significant amount of damage done in a very replaceable way. In Trouble Bog, so that was a big victory for Ulm. Also probably collected some nice gear. Rings of Regen. So we have a communion from, oh, and we have the large Micklin army here. But we have a very, we've got a Sabbath getting set up from these Jotuns, but they don't have nearly enough troops bodyguarding them. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of Ocelotls kill these mages. These storm demons are doing work. They've actually lasted a surprising amount of time with their buff script. Over 25 rounds. Let's go ahead and speed it up a bit. I think we know how it's going to end. Okay. So what kind of attrition did Jotunheim cause? Let's see. Right, maybe that was Muspelheim. Here we go. So at the cost of 14 Gijas, they killed 11 beast bats, 90 of the jaguars. A lot of this was friendly fire. 38 ocelotls. And 1 storm human. So and a devil. So that was a reasonable number of kills given the lack of supporting chaff. Alright, next up in Klon, we have attacking Hinnom. This is a small raiding party with some Enkidu archers. Not much here, so they're gonna do just fine. They lose 1 hunter. In Baral, we've got Pangea attacking Saramatia. So the Return of the Dracolich has a Mask of Face Borrowing for stealth, and some Enchanted Salt for Jin, and some Death Gems. So converts itself into a Master Lich. Okay. Let's see. So that was here, and then we have 4 fort stormings this turn. So Hinnom storming the fort in Ligria, a much reduced army. And there is a little bit of stuff in here. Let's see. So who all is in here? Is it geared? We've got some earth gems queued up. And it looks like that's about it, and a couple of water gems. So Hinnom really wants to get inside this fort. An ethereal Dawnguard getting on the wall. Sayer and another Dawnguard on the opposite wall, so they've cleared the longbows off the wall. They've won the gate. Alright, and Hinnom secures his fort. So he can start working on rebuilding his army. He loses 7 more Sayer. So when this army first set out, it had 100 Sayer. He's lost about 70 of them. So the army does need reinforcements. I don't think he's lost any Melkarts yet. He's lost most of his Long Dead as well, a lot of his Dawnguard. So just needs to needs more Kohen, so needs a lot of reinforcements for this army, but he does clear out this somewhat significant force and kills another 10 mages. All right, and then next up in Desert of the Cliff Dwellers, we've got Kaelasa storming the Macone throne. Ooh, and a little bit more friendly fire, but it does work out. Uses 5 in Gary, 2 Yavana. Alright, and then we've got Micklin storming the Muspelheim fort in Troublebog. Nothing inside. I don't think we need to watch that one. Also loses some stuff to probably friendly fire. No, a fair amount of this was killed. Oh, there were 7 adepts here. Did I just not see them? Yeah, I think some of these guys should... Yeah, like this guy... I think all of these guys could have left. They're all magic phase capable. They can either cloud trapeze or teleport. So, unless he didn't have the gems, I think this is a huge mistake to let all these guys die here. Alright, so Micklin gets a lot of free kills on adepts. And then Ulm storms Dry Fields. So after his victory against the Ubar army, he's going to go ahead and push inside the fort. Relying on Skelly Spam and Wolves to actually take it. Okay. Loses 3 Steel Maidens, so pretty compared to the much more powerful armies that we've seen friendly firing. This was a pretty efficient way to not friendly fire. We get some fire gems, get some unrest. We have the darkness event. So a fair amount of movement this turn. We've defeated, or Hinnom, I say we, but Hinnom's defeated the big Zabalba army. Killed a smaller force. There's another force here and one here. So this player is just pumping out units using his foreign recruit. So probably makes a core in the capital and then moves it out and picks up longbows along the way to fill out his raiding parties. We do clear out this throne. So we've taken all the forts in this region. That makes it a lot easier to control the territory around here. Then it's just a matter of counter raiding, and we can recruit reinforcements here locally rather than having to move them in from elsewhere. So really starting to solidify this stuff. My army is going to go ahead and move in on Lepintha, try to fight this TNN force, see how much of it we can kill. There is concern that if once I move on this fort, there could be a bunch of Banshees here. Banshees being the TNN, yeah. So, because they're Glamour 2 assassins, which means they can all do illusory army. So pretty nasty assassins. So I was concerned I would lose all my commanders on here, but decided to go for it anyways. Again, the goal of this is to see what it can do, but also to get rid of the upkeep. Kaelasa continuing to solidify control over this area. He's gained a lot of new income from this. So we can see the income graph. So the darkness ruined it, but you can see like where it was. So Kaelasa's got a lot more income potential than Hinnom and I do. But yeah, and then we see Zimria here, where Benheim and Roos are solidifying control. You can see Micklin's push here to take this fort and push into the heartland of Macone, Muspelheim, and Sitis. So taking the swamp here, along with this Tower of the Silver Order. Again, I would have evacuated all these mages. Yeah, 4 pearls too. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to see if these players can do something to counter this big Mictlan army. But they've got their own forces coming back, and maybe they can follow up here. And then we see the pressure of Ulm against Ubar after their big victory, and then they took Dryfields. You see Pangaea putting this fort under siege. So the Pangaea team is starting to gain ground on the Ubar team. The Baratos team has a big advantage because they were at peace for a lot longer. And so they're pushing into the Muspelheim Macone team. Similarly, this team also took a lot of attrition, so we have a big advantage here, and we're pushing into them. But their capacity to rebuild armies has been truly impressive. And then we see the slow advance of Vanheim into Merverni and Femoria and Agartha down here. Okay. So I think that's it for this one. This one's been a long one. Probably should have saved this turn for its own episode because of the number of battles. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one for almost an hour long of hopefully mostly action. Thanks and have a good one. Bye.